Welcome to the Protector Culture Podcast with Jimmy Graham. Jimmy is a veteran U.S. Navy SEAL, a former protective officer for the CIA Global Response Staff, founder and CEO of the Able Shepherd Program, a husband and father of four, and a personal friend of mine. Now here's...
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Protector Culture Podcast with Jimmy Graham. I'm your host, Jimmy Graham, here with BK in the house.
How are you,
Able Shepherd 051. What's up, brother?
Doing good.
You doing good? Awesome, man. This episode brought to you by Able Nation. That's able-nation.org. I did want to talk about that a little bit further. I just came today from another assessment, so security assessment. So I want to remind everybody, emergency medical supplies, safety equipment materials, training/certifications for scholarship assistance, security assessments, EOP, that's Emergency Operation Plan Development and Review.
Okay.
So some people have one, we can review it, we can help them start it. A lot of people are stuck in the mud and they don't know where to start. And it helps to know that there are people out there that can help you financially. A lot of people don't have a budget for this yet. They're starting to. They're starting to do that more, but a lot of people just don't know where to start and they're stuck. I want to start with a good foundation and we help them out.
Well, and from what I've seen and what I've heard, it's also a proven platform. It's a series of questionnaires. It's a site walkthrough. It's physical evaluation.
Yeah. It's funny because I know folks that charge literally tens of thousands of dollars for security assessments, and most of that can be done in this chair right here, right? And if you think about it, you look at the questions, you go, I can already probably answer it from here. Then I go see your facility, we answer the rest of it. We send it to them just to save time. Send it to them. They fill it out. We come by, this one I recorded it, I put a chest cam on, I walk through and just ask them questions and all that. Then we provide points for consideration due to their budget. They get to pick what they do, right? So it's just it gets those feet out of concrete, gets something that says, hey, what did you do? It better be something. And then there's a list of points of consideration and points for consideration, PFCs, where they look at it and they go, we can afford that one. Well, then the score goes up. And they do this one and the score goes up. So it's just a baseline that gives you a place to start based on your situation and your finances or whatever. So it's good.
Something you can build a plan towards quarter quarter, show some improvement.
Yep. There's time starts now and you got to start somewhere. So why not the baseline and make it better? So if you want help with that or any kind of assistance, contact Neil at able-nation.org. All right, brother. So you know what a SITREP is?
I do.
Situation report. That's right, man. So I think it's in time for another one. We haven't put out a SITREP and there's just a lot of energy going into this year. You know about a lot of it, and it's just my schedule blows up. And then we did get some good feedback from the community saying, yeah, if I haven't caught Jimmy or I have a class with him or we have a discussion after class or whatever, then they don't hear a lot of this. So I was like, hey, it's a good time. Friday we'll be doing the same thing. This is recorded and it's gonna be off a little bit, but we're about to have a mix. That's our gathering where we get together and kind of share the good news about what's going on with the community, and that's coming up. And I was like, well, how about tonight we talk about that? Because it's a lot, man. It's just good. And we knew coming into this year that there was going to be something special just the way the year started, and it's happening.
Well, and what I like is what I've seen over 5+ years is year over year improvement. Always trying to get better, always trying to add more to the curriculum, building on that foundation of the entire training program, but especially the Phase 4 training. It's exciting. And
you're like, I always wonder, when do you run out of material?
No.
And it's just not a thing. Like, how could it not get better? I mean, you look at the people, you look at what we're doing and the effect we're having on the community, just even this past 2 weeks alone. Then you see the hurt in the world, and we're actually making people, we say everybody leaves here better every single time, including the staff. So when people are getting better all the time, and then they're learning all day, every day, how could it not get better?
Yeah.
But to see it happening before your eyes, it's humbling. It's very, very cool, and it's cool to be a part of. So anyways, let's jump in. So jump in wherever you want, brother. I'll just go down these lists. I think you know most of this because you're on the team meetings, obviously. But if there's anything that needs clarification, just reel me back in. First, I just felt like throwing this out there because I started with lunch with Perry Saul yesterday. That's just, what's up, Perry Saul? He watches every one of these. He listens to them. Yeah. He watches them. He does both all the time. He's probably our biggest fan. And I got to hang out with Perry Saul. Yeah. He had some health stuff going on. Got sick, at a family thing out of state. Came back, was battling with that. And he's on the better end of that. Yeah. So he's feeling better. So that's exciting. So we get to catch up and just get some affirmation there and talk about what's going on in his life with his family and all that stuff. And it's all good stuff and getting better. Then had a book meeting with Kate yesterday. So you guys, due to the podcast, we talked about that a little bit. That is moving forward, and we are putting something forward by the end of this month, which is crazy. Which is, and it's not.
Is that a draft or revision, something for?
The manuscript. My goal was to get a manuscript out, like the printed. I'm happy with it, at least good enough manuscript. And to be honest, we're not there yet. So one of the things that we've been advised is get the bones of it with a lot of content and some sample writing, and then get it out to somebody to get a professional eye on it. And then come back, and then they get to kind of, hey, have you considered this? And they move. And I've never done this, so I'm kind of making this up, meaning people have told me about this. So as I understand it, they get to form it a little bit without changing your content. That's one thing I will draw a line in the sand. It's like, well, hey, this isn't soft enough. I'm like, it's supposed to sting. This book, and Kate is just such a good sounding board because she is just a I'll call her an A-type because she called herself that, kind of an A-type female presence that just knows where she stands. She's a good Christian woman, and she's not afraid to look me in the eye and say, I disagree. That is not what I see in the Bible. And it's just good, right?
Yeah, go back about a year ago for the podcast.
It's a good one. It's great.
Right up in your page. Yeah.
And it's I don't mean to be offensive when I talk to men. I don't mean to offend women, but if I'm talking about something like abortion and she steps in and says, hey, have you considered this? You have daughters. And I'm like, okay, I didn't mean that to come across like that. So I do want to get she hears my heart and I can put it that. So if my words get in the way, she goes, did your words get in the way? Like, oh, dang it. You're right. Thank you. Right. And that's just helpful because I don't want to.
It's a very safe place.
It is.
You guys can just open up and be honest.
Yeah. And I mean, at one point, literally yesterday, I said, hey, I think I owe you an apology because I didn't mean to offend you. These are my words and I didn't mean to come across that way. And just one thing that I said about women in general, she said, I don't. And I love the fact that we could talk about it and we're still friends. And I'm like, man, that's just good. Right. So I'm excited about that. And then Tyler tomorrow, talking to him about that because they each add a flavor in this team thing. It's a cool experience to do. Yeah. And even Steve helping out getting that thing going. And I had a meeting with him recently. And again, just all good. It's all good stuff. So that, Sage on Thursday. I talk to Neil, once a week. We talk more than once a week because I've talked to him already because we've got stuff coming up and he's just a solid sounding board. He's good. He's just in a good place with, I think medically with, just the stuff he was battling, the family close, grandchildren. He's happy because he's building again. So he's pouring a foundation and building, still building on the ranch. It's just good, man. So that's what I was like, hey, he's going to be in his happy place when he's, I've said this before. I think men are happiest when they're building something, destroying something, or on an adventure, right? So if you're adventure, build, destroy, and he gets to build. So he's he's right in his
sweet spot.
That's a sweet spot. That's his wheelhouse, man. Let's see what's new with me as far as the SITREP. Moved to a 5:00 a.m. gym /BJJ. So and when I say BJJ, it's like, training for the UFC. It's not that at all. It's the 49 years old. It's getting
what
back.
What is BJJ?
Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, right?
Okay.
So
it's a way to wake up. Have you tried the Brazilian coffee?
I should pair those up because usually when I hit those workouts, it's pre-coffee because it's so early. I get up at 4:30, and then and just on Mondays and Wednesdays, and it's cool because I didn't plan on it. They just moved it. It was a better time for people to hit it and then get to work. Yeah. And they invited me. I came and it just fit, right? So we're out with some guys there, some law enforcement guys, and some good, so what are becoming good friends, and then Michael. So that's cool. He's out of town, so blessings with him getting back in there. But it's a good fit, and I think there's a huge market for people that are very interested in that particular art, but they're not heading to the octagon, and they want to get the skills and then wake their body up. I feel like I'm at the cusp of reintroducing my body to this. Pulled this, pulled that, got cramps and whatever. And now I feel like it's like, okay, I guess we're doing this. And now we're kind of sliding back into that role. Yeah. So,
and I've heard you talk about it. And to be honest, I've been intimidated.
Yeah.
Because the last thing in the world I want is to be, thrown anywhere.
Yeah.
Especially to the ground. So is there an intro? Is there a way to step into that environment and learn safely and still go to work?
Yeah, no, there truly is. And if you get with professionals, which is what I understand is most of the people around here, there's those gyms that are trying to get after it. And it doesn't mean these aren't. Like the guys that want to compete and do that, there should be a space for that because that was me at 20-something, right? I just wanted to rip people's head off and don't mind mine getting ripped off. It's like, let's get after it, right? And even in competitions, that is the spot for that. Yeah. But if you're wanting to come in and learn an art and a skill, like, I pulled something pretty significantly in my neck where I literally, when you have to grab the top of your head to get out of bed because your neck won't do it, that's not good. So to just tell them, say, guys, Still working on that. So easy on that. Like if you get that thing, I'm just going to give it to you. Tap, what did it say? Early and often, right? To just maintain your health. But there is that thing when you want to grit your teeth and get after it, and then you agree with a guy and say, yeah, let's go a little harder, But I do think there's a lot of people in that space that want to learn the art and then ease into it, and professionals will help you do that. So that Boom Jitsu in Castle Rock is where I go, and there's others in the area, but those guys class act, and you just be straight with them and tell them what you're looking for, and they'll help you get there. So it's super cool. So I'm digging it. I like it's a good fit, and I missed that piece of just getting back in it for Jimmy Graham. Tactically, it doesn't. I know they try to make it fit in certain places, and sometimes where you need that, only that will do. Right, but a lot of times you can't force fit it with the tactics. But I love it and I'm digging it. As far as the expansion, I know people are looking for a SITREP and an update on that. Pray, I just keep praying. We are looking to expand Able Shepherd into a site or a venue that fits what we do. Yep. Right. So we're kind of outgrowing the space. We have presented to some people that are potential investors. One, to give feedback on what that looks structurally as a business, and then two, as potential investors, where they say, I would need to see this, and then we work on it and say, okay, I need to see this, and it's heading in the right direction. So everything for me needs to happen yesterday, so I just need to work on my patience.
Well, and the thing I like about it too is maybe a consolidated space or an expanded space also provides opportunities on the schedule.
Yes.
To offer more classes. Say, if one of the parents is staying home, taking the kids to school, they can do it in the middle of the day. Yeah. Right? Traditionally,
that's right.
The program's been from 5 to 9 at night.
Yeah.
Because of availability of a facility. So I like the idea that it may be different training opportunities available as well as different times and scheduling options. So.
Absolutely. And that brings
audience, right? And not so much individuals.
Some people can't do it. They just simply can't do it.
Groups. It could be professionals who do this for a living. Lots of opportunities.
And that's one of the things that I think is just a huge compliment is what we've done and what this company's become is only been on evenings and Saturdays, right? So you open up that real estate, all of a sudden that gets attractive, meaning that what we can offer and that add value to is even what we just talked about the jiu-jitsu thing, we can add value and offer that. Those guys are ready to come do clinics here for exactly that demographic. So maybe I'm in my 40s and 50s and I want to get into this, but I'm looking to go with friends and say, just make me better, man. Like I'm not looking to get all stove up, wake my body back up, show me these things, exercising, working out, getting my health back on step. I like doing more striking. What Michael let me do is go in there and hang 3 banana bags. He had one and bought 2 more is, they are Muay Thai bags, right? Because I just want to hit something and kick something, and it's just like sometimes that you want that high impact stuff. Yeah. So I go in there to warm up or cool down. I go in there and just get after it, right? Because I just haven't done enough of that. So that's super cool, and I think more people would like to do those combative type movements to get warmed up for class, and obviously wake up and do it correctly. If you do it correctly, that means less injury, right? Yeah. People think, well, I don't want to get hurt, so I'm not going to do it. No, do it correctly and ease into it. That's how you don't get hurt.
Well, and I think there's another aspect. We talk about the community of Able Shepherd quite a bit. When you're working out with people you trust, honor, respect, I think it brings a different dynamic to that environment.
It does.
You can get after it. You know that threshold. I can't cross this, but I can go right up to it.
Yeah.
And we can still be friends and shake hands on the way out.
Yeah. And not to soften it either, because what we just did in there was smashing people, like, you know what I mean? Now they were in protective gear and all that kind of stuff, but I would burn all of this up for my children. So it's not like I'm going to take it easy if I get attacked. I know how to fight, and I've been in a lot of fights. I've knocked a lot of dudes out, right? All of that would come out when I needed it, regardless of injury, So that's the kind of thing that I don't want to do on a Tuesday morning just because I want to, but I would do it. So that's one of my kids, my kids talk about like Superman has kryptonite, Dad has his weakness is suburbanite. It's like, oh man, come getting a labradoodle and living in suburbia. It's like I just feel like I'm getting softer. Yeah, it's okay. But there it is. The sheriff's office, the local law enforcement around here is fantastic, and for the first time ever, they said, "Hey, let's talk." this guy can make us better. Let's talk to him. And we're not afraid to keep learning. So we've got scheduled the first kind of joint thing to benefit the community. And that's a big deal because it's a hard thing to get into because everybody's got a guy. They some places I've just done this for way too long with literally hundreds of organizations before. And to humble yourself and say that we can learn from somebody else is a big deal. So when we stop learning, we become dangerous. And that includes law enforcement, includes military. Right, so that's a big deal for us. So it's good for me to see that we've earned that over the years, and roles have changed. And people that I've known that were starting down here, they've moved up, whether that be just the beat cop that's now a lieutenant, or the new sheriff, or the whoever. But they've been watching with the right kind of. They're like, hey, this is the right kind of guy for the right kind of reason, and that's honoring in a world where we need more honoring. So
the message hasn't changed. It's been very consistent.
Yeah.
Here's why we train this way. Here's who we're protecting.
Yeah.
And here's the skills. And I think some of the environments the professionals see themselves in are absolutely applicable.
Yeah.
I remember when we opened this facility, we're in the Able Shepherd headquarters shoot house. One of the county sheriffs happened to stop by. Hey, what's going on here? And Neil Pinkham, of all people, imagine that. Invites the guy, comes up on the catwalk, watches the progression from room to room, and was fascinated.
Yeah.
He's like, we need this.
And they all say they're coming back.
Yeah.
And to be completely honest, I believe people are intimidated. Yeah. I've got military buddies that are like, little rusty, man. Like it's intimidating because when you see what goes on the other side of that wall that was invested in and built up to, a lot of people weren't trained. There's an illusion that they weren't trained on that level. So they're like, I don't want to be the guy that comes in and looks like that, right? So, and I totally get it, right? Just like me, it's like, going into taking a 15-year break in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and then getting back in there. I don't look like the new guy, but the thing is, I just never developed to that level. So now I'm back in there being the guy at 49 that's getting back into it. Okay, so be it, So humble yourself, get in there, and then go get better, right? Yeah. And it's honest, right? Just honestly get better. Yeah. Brave Church, man. My church is on fire. So I don't market to my church, man. I never did. But I just want to come to church and that's my day to just do my thing. And I don't want to be on the team because I train dozens. We train dozens of security teams. And they had something go on, and then they came to us, and somebody presented us as an option. We had a couple meetings. They sent multitudes of people through, and they are raving about it. Yeah. Well, what falls right in our wheelhouse, and if you watch the podcast, you know this exactly, churches, schools, men's pursuit, like pursuing men's hearts. So we're kind of coming into that to where the church has upgraded the security team, have sent a bunch of people, and you like an organization like this or any, you get out of it what you put into it. And they've just been putting a lot into it. Yeah. They came ready to learn, jumped in with both feet, and they are raving about it. Well, that makes it back to management. That makes it back to the guy who introduced it, and everybody looks good, right? So now there's just this energy. Well, now, our pastor announced fairly recently that they're creating schools, classical Christian education. Love it. Like that is the future, period. Yeah. That is our children are our future, period. And that's exactly what we've been talking about. And then he says he's doing it. And I'm like, I am all in. So then they asked us to be a part of that. Well, then also they launched a thing. They announced it, and the training is coming up very soon, called cadres. Ooh. So the cadres it's a church that's on fire, so it is going to grow. It's growing and getting bigger. But now there's these surrounding areas and different zip codes or area codes. Zip codes that are, so it might be the 8104 would be Castle Rock, right?
Some type of identifier.
Well, I talked to a couple guys that we go to the event together, like that would be us. And many of us already have ministries going on. I'm like, well, let's put it under Brave. So immediately we'll have 6. Yep. And it's just cool, right? It's not like the whole, I want to change the world, I'm going to go start a website. Why don't you look and see if there's any you can get behind and support them? Yeah, like I don't have to own it. Let's just get together and do good things, right? So that's super exciting. BDRs. Okay, there was a lot of wiggling around, and I apologize. I kind of jumped the gun and was like, hey, we're going to do, what was it, Idaho or whatever. Yep. And then it turned into Utah, and then it turned into whatever. So super excited about this one is on in May. I'll just leave the dates off because they might change again. So in May, there's going to be an off-road motorcycle. What do we call it? We changed it just recently to just the basics. We're calling it just the basics, right? So people that own motorcycles that want to, we start talking, we're like, does anybody practice? And everybody's like, no, we just do another ride and crash more. You're like, okay, well, we should probably practice, right? So there are schools that you can go off to, and some guys, and I encourage it, go to those, right? Go check them out. Some of them are here based in Colorado, to where you get into sand and you do rock climbing, you do all this stuff that you're going to be doing with a weighted down motorcycle with gear on it. So that's fantastic. But we said, hey, let's get, we've got some locations where people have property and have invited us and said, use it. So we put some insurance in place. We said, let's get together and practice and get some people that have done this and they know what they're doing, and show us, just like anything else, and just do drills to get the skills and then take it to tactics, right? Let's employ them. So it's super cool. So in May, early May, we do a thing called Just the Basics, and there's some legal stuff too, to where it's like we don't want to call it a training per se. We get together and we share skills, we go over it, we practice, and we get better. This is for the adults, right? Then the adults get it down, and then there's clinics in May, June, and July for beginner adults or advanced Indian adults, but then also for the children. So at least the adults are giving good information to the kids and not telling them wrong, right? Because we just learned the basics. Let's share those with the kids. Kids have these little tiny motorcycles with the saddlebags, and they're going to be out there practicing with their folks, right?
Is there a sign up or registration? Is it class size limited?
It is, and that's about to be released. So Melissa's got all that down. She's got these dates down, and I just want to make sure, because she's on spring break, she's on her way back, that she releases those, and I don't want to say them because I'll mess them up, or she'll have to bump a day over and I'll look like a fool or whatever, and then she'll punch me in the face. So so she just keeps the wheels on the bus, so I'll just leave that to her. But those clinics working through May, June, July, and then in July, first ever ITB, Intro to BDR, Mountain Adventure, right? So Nick has just come in off the top rope, find out that, one of our guys, Nick Carlton, out there in Vail, Joel was telling me about it. He goes, he's up there all the time. He knows that place. So I called him and I go, can you create 4 days, 3 nights, I want 3 tents, 3 camping spots, to where it's a mini BDR. So backcountry discovery route's a thing. Hopefully they don't get ticked off at us, because we made a thing called ITB, Intro to BDR, for the kids. We're going to make a little sticker. It's just, my son knows what BDRs are, so he wants to do one. Well, they don't, this is another thing.
Yeah, he's ridden in the truck. Now he wants to be
now for first time ever, he's going to be on a bike. He calls it a gasser, because he had his little electric motorcycle, and we would stop at camp and let him ride around. No suspension. It's just like a little whatever. And but now he's got an actual Honda 110 CBI. I mean, this thing will do 55 miles an hour, right? So it's like he's got some power. And did I tell you? I think I told you about that. I get to the house. We unveil it. You were a big part in that. We hid it in your garage for a week, got it to him, opens the garage, sees it and everything. And we were putting it away for the first time. And I go, hey, pull that key out and put it next to my key, my motorcycle key, the thing. So he pulls it out and he holds it and he looks at me and he goes, it feels good to have keys to something. And I was like, yes, it does. And that goes in with a book I'm reading right now, when it talks about when can a man be trusted with power, right? So that's the first taste of power. Like, this is my key, and it goes in here, and there's danger, and there's excitement and adventure and all that, and I hold the key, right? And it's so good. So that's comes with great responsibility. So he will have this. I'm so excited, and I didn't want to go do the loop thing. Like, the loop thing says, no, I'll take the day off. The loop thing says, I know what I'm going to see and come back. The adventure means you start and finish way, way down there. It means there's no choice here. We're riding all day till we get to the spot. Then we're going to camp, and we're going to tear everything down. We're going to pack everything back up, and we're going again. And then we're going again, and then we're going again. And that feeling you get when it's done, that bittersweet, it's almost done, and I'm sad. Like, I miss home, but I want to keep going. That thing. Introduce them to that, right, at a young age, because it's goodness. So. And
that last little sliver of, when are we doing it again?
Yeah, when's the next one? Yeah, and like the last leg, you're planning the next one, right? That's always happens. And I don't care if that was happening during the Lance ride, which was 12,000 miles, 31 days to Alaska and back, right? People were like, I want to keep going. Like, part of me is done with the road and I want to go home, but I can't believe this is ending, and it's cool. They're like, Mexico, you boys like Mexico? Like, let's just keep going, right? So that's super, super cool. And then in August is the Utah BDR. So that's going to be back to the big boys and doing a 9-10 day thing south to north through Utah. So it's good stuff. I know, right? It's coming. It's that time. So that's going to be goodness. I can't wait to see it. The guys were logistically, and there's a lot of logistics in getting those bikes there. For example, like, we've got a large trailer. But then also, guys might have to go in 2s or 3s. How many adventure motorcycles you can fit in, say, like a, what do you call them? U-Haul, Ryder truck, whatever they are. May have to rent them, then because you'll burn up your knobbies, like the composition of those tires on the highway to ride for 2 days. It just eats them, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, Durango best case is probably 9 hours from
something like that. Yeah. So you're just sitting there just eating up highway.
chewing up the rubber.
Right. And then you get there, like I had some cupping on mine and it wrecked them on the one when we went up to Montana. So anyways, we're talking about, like renting U-Hauls, and then they're like two guys talking, just hanging out for a couple with the other U-Hauls, and you go drop them off in Durango, jump off, fire everything up, and then get down to the start line, right? Then kick it off, end it, all the way through the state, back to Salt Lake City, staying at a buddy's house where we get a shower, we get to do all this stuff. He's hosting us. That'll be a good meal. Man. Do the same thing, man. Drive them over, put them in a U-Haul, and then zip them back, turn the thing in, and then get them home, and then post-op them. So good, man. So that's coming. I think Brother Steve's back in on that. We got to get Everett sending out a kind of roll call and just saying, who's in. So we're putting it together, and it's a big commitment, but man, it's gold.
And a lot of planning.
A lot of planning, and that's part of the fun, man. We meet at these coffee shops. There's maps everywhere. We're pointing and circling and calling and reserving, and there's cards out, and we're just making it happen, right? So it's super cool. And I'm drawn to water, so it's going to be the whole. How many lakes can we jump in? When are we launching the drones? Whatever. And now we've kicked it up a level, and now we've got professional grade cinematography. So it's like now you have them forever. Like I don't know that we can go backwards on that deal. Once you get that level of cinematography, and then you have that thing for the rest of your life. Like I get teary-eyed watching it now because my son's in it. Right? When we watch that stuff, you're like, "Wow, man, this was legit." And
that is a video, and I don't know if it's on the Able Shepherd channel or the Protect Your Culture podcast. But if you can't find us, send us a note.
YouTube,
amazing video.
YouTube, go to Able Shepherd channel. You'll see the Crook and Shield logo. And then go look for the 47-minute. That's the long one. The episode called Wyoming BDR. And it's so good, right? And just like the Lance, like I said this almost without thinking about it. In there, we in a hotel room in Alaska with Lance's mom there, seal that we lost, and I said this will get better with age. Yeah. Like every year, this ride will get better, and it has, right? Yeah, absolutely. And the same thing with the lineage ride, the same thing with any BDR, the same thing with Wyoming and all that stuff. You see that stuff and you can't unsee it, now you have it. And now it lives there forever. So pulling that thing out, and it's probably due for me to just pull out on Memorial Day this year to pull out and watch Ride for Lance again. So good stuff, man. All right, let's do it. Okay, so what's new on this side of the house as far as Able Shepherd? Breaching. We figured that curriculum out. We brought in a professional. We spent just an amazing day of training. That was so good, just getting some folks together. We had kind of a select group just say, hey, you guys want to be here? We're doing a thing. And we invited some people, and we just had a big old day of just decimating doors with tools and with shotguns, right? So that's coming. Patrol, that is a super cool thing that we brought in. These are all capabilities, right? So this, but what if a good quality door is locked? So your loved one's on the other side, there's some kind of emergency and you can't get in. It's a disturbing thought. Everything from having small little tools that you can grab to bigger tools to what if it's a really beefy good door? How do you get through there, right? Patrol, the capability there would be, yes, there's this protector bodyguard element that Able Shepherd was born on, protective in nature. Well, what terrain? Well, close in. Well, what does that mean? 200 in, right? I call 200 in close, right? What would be that moderate 400 in? That would be more like a patrol, like you'd see. It doesn't mean military patrol. It means what if you had acreage? What if you can see 400 yards and I say, if somebody's shooting at you, you have a decision: shoot back or don't. And if you say shoot back, well then you should have done that before. You should know, what your system will do at those distances. It's not that big a deal. It's easy enough ask from those platforms. Sure. I just keep bringing up Eric where he was like he had never fired past 200 yards. Yeah. And he passed the test at 400 and was ecstatic. Why? Because he trusted his gear. Yep. He knows how to shoot. He knows trigger control. He knows all of these, the side alignment, side picture, all that stuff. He just trusted it at 400, and there they were. Okay, that's why he has a P engraved on his coin right now, right? So once you get that capability, and it's we call them endorsements. Just like on your license, you might have an M for motorcycle endorsement. Yeah. On the coin, there's now an option to earn the B for breacher and the P for patrol. Yep. It just means on said day, I proved I can do this. Okay.
Yeah, and I feel like you're extending your capabilities based on the foundation that's been laid for years. And the other piece that I would mention about patrol is it's a cumulative event.
Yeah.
Meaning there's step 1, step 2, step 3 that prepares you for the final exam, we'll call it. the real world application.
Yeah.
Which is phenomenal.
And again, on that particular one, it's not just the capability of do you own the things and can you do it? Because we called it patrol, one of the prerequisites is to overnight.
Yeah.
So you show up and you camp. And it's not like we all lay around in a circle on watch all night, you know what I mean? We hang out at a campfire, but all the stuff in your pack, you bust it out, you sleep comfortably all night in your stuff. Then in the morning you pack it up and that comes with you on the test, right?
Yeah.
So now it's not heavy when you're talking about bedding. We don't make you carry a week's worth of rations and all this stuff. Yeah, your iron skillet and your chair and all this stuff. It's like, if you want to do a bivy sack, if you understand what that is, a thin sleeping bag with a bivy sack and all that, you're going to pack it up pretty small, right? If you want to get a bigger bag, it's going to be a more comfortable sleeping bag. It's going to be a bigger pack you're going to need. So just figuring all that stuff out. But then will that backpack go on your gear? Like if you've got your shooting gear and you put it on, it might not be compatible. So that's the things you got to figure out. And then when you go hiking for your mile, before and after, all that stuff tells you. Like a mile will tell you like, this bag's horrible, let's go in the trash. Or this thing's rubbing me, or I need to move this or need to do that. That's the whole reason we do it. Yeah. Oh, and I forgot to have this on the sheet. We're bringing this one back by popular demand. What is the urban hike?
Oh, yes.
The overnight hike through the city, right? To suburbs, but it's like there's walking trails, and we hike for, I think it's approximately 3 hours.
Yep.
2 to 3 hours. I forget exactly because I know the route. Then we tuck into the bushes and sleep for like 2 hours. And then we finish it out for another 2 to 3 hours, and we finish at breakfast.
At breakfast.
And I mean, it's funny, man. It was chilly. We're coming in. I just remember Gail with her hands like victory like this, walking into the parking lot. And they're like, where are you people coming from? And we just went into breakfast. Yep. And you're sucking down hot coffee. It was just so cool. So that one's definitely backed by popular demand. So we'll be doing that here coming up pretty soon. Defensive shotgun. We haven't done a lot of shotgun. Until the breacher thing, that brought it back in. And we did a shotgun shoot, meaning we went out and did a sporting clays, right? And that was a riot. But the shotgun is, it's just, I wrote an article years ago called With Great Power Comes Great Responsibility, talking about the shotgun. The shotgun is, you can't argue the horsepower of a shotgun. No, but it takes a lot of responsibility. You got to do a lot of work if you're going to be any good with it, right? Yeah. So to understand which munitions go in that, there's such a variety. To understand spread patterns, that if you're at a certain distance, those patterns grow. Most people whose uncle told them to get a shotgun, because all you got to do is rack it and the guy will run out of the house. Maybe, maybe not. You rack it, he might shoot you with the gun that was loaded, because yours wasn't, obviously, if you're racking it, right? But also, if you're far enough away and you're aiming at somebody, you might shoot your kid because you don't understand the patterns, right? As far as the spread.
Because it changes foot by foot or yard
by yard. It does. And we just did it with Jason's when we pattern. We call it patterning. You pattern a shotgun, but that pattern is different at different yardage. Yeah. And most people shooting shotguns don't know that. Or they don't shoot them properly, so they hurt. And if they hurt, they don't practice. And if they don't practice, they don't know it. And that one needs more practice than our guns where we point shoot, right? So if you're area shooting and you're doing all that stuff and you're trying to do a math equation at 3 a.m. of how far the guy is so you don't shoot your kid. You're like, it just means, and I'm not saying don't do it, I'm saying put in the work if you're going to do it, right? And know what you're doing and shoot it a bunch, right? And again, there's techniques to do it. It doesn't hurt if you shoot it correctly, right? But most people don't understand that, so we're gonna show it to them. Again, zombies, whatever, man, go after it. Right? Anything out there is bad. You can't argue. Like, did you know there's triple-aught buck? I didn't know that. There's double-aught buck. I've known that. I just saw this little shotgun thing that showed all the different
like a chart.
Triple-aught buck. Oof. Some ashtrays coming at you, man. It's going to cut you up. Anyways,
so they just cut a slug in half, basically.
yeah. All these huge, just sections of lead coming at you. The hunt. So the hunt thing. You doing this, man? What are you thinking? You interested at all?
I love the idea of the gear, the preparation, the planning. I want to say last year I had a scheduling conflict in terms of business travel.
Yeah.
So I have to figure that out.
Yeah, no worries. If you want to just come up. So it's a new location this year, slightly different. Q4, and this is just it's going to be Matt. Ron moved, so Matt Anthony's taken over, and there's we just did the first one where it's pull out your computer, buy your licenses, do your thing, get your points, and he explains all that and just makes it very, very simple. I mean, he'll sit there and do it for you in front of you to show you how to do it, and you need to see it because it's confusing. But then it's done, right? And now it's done. It's all paid for. The thing's going to come in the mail and all that. And now we just start talking about gear. What gear are you going to use? All this stuff like a laser rangefinder. You're going to use binoculars. You're going to use that little scent stuff where you powder that shows you where the wind's going so you don't get winded. All of this stuff is just great stuff, right? Then we actually go into a hike without the guns, but with the gear to get it all dialed in. Because, hey, you're going to want this handy, you want this handy, the boots, the socks, all of that kind of stuff. What if you need to bring sections of meat back? What kind of pack do you have? You just drop one off. I'm messing with that thing. So we're always assessing different gear. And, man, I didn't even realize there's so much awesome gear out there. I asked him, he brought it in. I'm like, I need that for like a week. So I've kept it, and we're going to have it out there Friday and talking about this stuff. So that's coming up. So it ends on Q4 when we all go out, set up a hunt camp, and then we all go out and hunt together. And then really, one of the reasons for this SITREP is to just encourage people. Some people on the other side of the country, start doing this stuff. Get outside. I just posted a thing this weekend because we had beautiful weather during spring break. It said, get outside. And it was me and my kids walking for like a 3 mile, just around the block with the dog. Beautiful day, and they said, because I was like, I walked in, everybody's on a device. I'm like, everything off right now.
Fresh air and sunshine.
Let's go. And they're like, what are we doing? After the walk, they're like, we should do that more. I'm like, we should do that more, and we will do that more this summer. This summer, if you're in Castle Rock, every Tuesday and Thursday at 8 a.m., go to the MAC, and we lead this. We've done it for years. We call it Daddy Boot Camp because a bunch of families did it. Me and Steve. What's up, Steve? I work out with him on Friday. Stretching, then calisthenics. Then we'll do stuff like lunges across the field.
For 50
In the
yards,
first couple weeks, they're like, my legs, there, all this stuff. By the end of summer, those kids are just in conversation, lunging the length of a football field. Then we do the stairs, then we do a run, then we do pull-ups. My kids can do pull-ups. They're little, and they can crank out pull-ups, right? Because they figured out the little kip move and all that stuff. But it's just good stuff, right? So just getting outside and enjoying it. And I say, if you're in Colorado, you live in Colorado, act like it. Get out in the mountains.
Do you think this summer we'll see another 5-gallon challenge?
Yes, that's another thing I forgot to put on here because Jake was on me, and he's like, dang it. So 5-gallon challenge, what's that? We made it up, but I've heard that other people do it. Like, I don't know if I was the first one to do it, but I just said, let's do this, right? Because there's a thing called ultralight camping where you go out and the stuff fits in your hand. Like, that's legit and cool, get after it. But with kids, we just said, hey, let's use a 5-gallon bucket, like a Home Depot bucket, as a measuring device, and that's what you can take. Now, your clothes, you can wear layered clothing and a hat or whatever, but if you're talking about a bucket, then that means there's no sleeping bag. It means there's no ground pad, which are essentials, kind of, and there's no tent. So you got to get creative. So you can bring a poncho and then string it up. Last year, the last one we did, I bought a bunch of plastic, painter's plastic, and I cut sections about the size of a poncho, and each kid got a section. And then we use tape, and we use, like, if you ever take a round stone, put it in there, and then put a knot on it. Now you can pull it and it won't tear. So we made shelters, and they loved it. Like, it was awesome. And it's always been a little crappy out. It's been like a little wet or windy or whatever. Yeah, or a thunderstorm on the last one. But it's always been awesome. And when there's work to be done and kids kind of peter out, but they didn't. Like, they were wet and it was kind of nasty, and they kept working, and they were more proud of it because they earned it, and it's just good. And anybody can do that. Do it in your backyard or whatever. But we just happen to have mountains. Okay. So we take them up in the mountains just for one night. We started a trailhead. Everybody dumps out all their stuff out of their bucket. The buckets don't come, by the way. They live in the truck. You dump them out. Even the bag you're going to carry it in has to fit in the bucket. Wow. So when you dump it out, the kids dig this. They tell you why they brought everything. So they go, this is a poncho, and I got this in case it rains, and I'm going to build my fort. And this is my knife. This is my headlamp. We dump jelly beans in the bottom of the bucket because they take up no space, and you could sell jelly beans for $5 each one day in, right? So we just figure it out, right? And it's so cool. So that'll be coming back this year as well. Memorial Day barbecue. Ooh. I'm thinking about leading with Memorial Day barbecue instead of leading with Murph. When you lead with Murph, people think they have to work out, so they don't come, right? Or they're just intimidated. And as you know, most people don't work out. They come for the barbecue. It's patriotic. It's awesome. We talk about Memorial Day. We talk about the significance behind it. We talk about Michael Murphy, and then those who choose do the workout and there's prizes, right? And families, if they just walk, if they do anything, then their family could potentially win a prize. But some guys that do put out, they earn those prizes, and those are better prizes, right? So they're
and what I like is it's almost a coming out party for summer. People are back out. They're friendly. They're smiling. They're shaking hands. They're reacquainting after being away for the winter.
Yep.
Or maybe you just don't see people as often.
Yeah.
It's a great way to just reconnect, re-engage.
Yeah. Tons of American flags, country music playing. There's meat burning. I don't even know what the menu is for this year, but there's people that there's an abundance of people that want to take over the grill and just serve, and just hang out, and it's just great. And people have families from from out of town, and they introduce them to these people. I got a buddy we've got a buddy with that big military truck, and it's been there every year, and it's the backdrop for our pictures for years. Yeah. So we got to send that to Murph. I just thought about that because I saw their pictures. We're a sponsor, so we get the big banner that says official sponsor of the Murph and all that stuff. So we should send them those pictures for years with that huge Stewart and Stevenson, that big old vehicle. So that's cool. So that's coming up this year. And then I couldn't be more excited about this because I don't know that we talked about this. Did we talk about the what is a man? Men's, I called it a men's muster. What is a man? I changed it. What is a men's mission? Like a mission to I've been saying repurpose men. Yeah. So that is happening in July.
Yeah, my recollection is you did a podcast.
Yes.
And recounted an event you went to, I believe it was in Texas.
Texas, correct.
And the impact that had on at least the 3 people on the podcast. And I remember filming it and getting goosebumps going, that's the real deal.
Yeah.
So
it was awesome.
Colorado,
so the one in Texas, there's one in Texas happening at the end of April.
Okay.
We're going to be putting that out, and I highly encourage you to go. So we've got a couple guys that we've asked to go, at the 86er, Maine and Montana. Mm-hmm. That's another thing that's kicking off is that we are launching, we're testing Montana and Maine to get them doing what we're doing. We're helping them do it and facilitating that, and that's exciting because it's good feedback for scaling this business, right? Yes. So it's awesome. So everybody's like, you're launching a thing. And no, we're not officially. What we're doing is gathering data with people that we trust and know to give us feedback and say, we've collected good notes. We've got good products, people, all of it, processes. Let's try it up there. And let's give you what you need to be successful up there, so we can and then get your feedback. But those guys, at least Jason just signed up, I think today, for the one in Texas. Because what I didn't want to do was do the one this summer, have him help me and rob him of that experience. Kind of show him ours is different, but what we're planning, I didn't want him working. So I said, why don't you go down to Texas? I threw it out there. Do that one and then help me facilitate this one. He's like, done. So he's already signed up, right? So it's awesome. So he's going to be heading down to Texas, spend time with those boys. Walking in Truth Ministries Pursuits. So check that out. If you're interested, and I think it's into April. So he's going to go down there. I think Nick's going to do the same thing. But here's the gist, and I couldn't be more excited about this because coming back from Texas, what's seen can't be unseen, right? Yeah. So to ask the Holy Spirit to show up, and then he does, and then people are changed, and now they're on mission. Yeah. And the reason, yesterday's Sunday's message at church, he was talking about mission on mission on mission, and I said, okay, I'm changing it because that's exactly what I'm doing. I fall into muster because it's a military thing, means gathering, but more than a gathering is a mission. So that's what we're going to be doing. So in a nutshell, it's this: they show up, they get challenged on the first day. What is a man? They're going to leave with their definition of what is a man. Not Jimmy's definition, their definition, but they're going to work on it for 5 days. They're going to condense it in the wilderness, in their time in the wilderness, where they go out and spend time with God in the wilderness, and they focus on them in the presence, right, of God. So it's super cool. Not only that, but there's many, many things, that are skills that they will learn with a group, but then they're going to need them for their time, that kind of thing. We are supplying some gear. We're doing a fundraiser. If you feel led, please pray about that because we are taking donations. We've got people that said, I would help you with that. That's amazing what you're doing. That is the answer, is making stronger men, period, to this whole national, this thing that's world's end. My pastor says it this way: so goes the men, goes the church, so goes the church, goes the world, right? Yeah. So that absolutely is the answer. So stepping forward to do that, I don't mind doing the legwork, but it's a chunk. Anything times 20 is a big number, right?
Yes,
so if we're talking about a tent, a ground pad, a sleeping bag, and a backpack, and I think a couple other things, a whistle, like some other stuff, that's a chunk, right? But I've already had people saying, no, man, I got you for at least a big section of that, right? So to be able to do that, facilitate that, and have to be a part of an experience that absolutely repurposes a man and says, I came in here without a purpose and I'm leaving with a purpose. That's the deal. That is the deal. I have had people that didn't know about this that have called me. Some knew, some didn't, and said, I've got a young man, he's a son, grown man, worried. Is there anything you do that could maybe bring him into? Is it a class? Is it this? And I just start smiling. And I go, I haven't announced this yet, but I'm doing a thing in July in Glen Erie. We're forming it up, and it's heading in this direction. And this is basically what I'm going to be doing. And they say, is there any way my son, I go, give me his number and I'll invite him right now. They're like, you would invite him right now. Like he listens to Jocko, he thinks SEALs are awesome, whatever. And this will have a foundation, like a Christ-centered foundation. I say, is he offended by any of that? Because this will be a Christ-centered deal. But he does not, like he has to be whatever. He must be a Christian. It's not that. But would he be offended by it? Can I say that we talked? Yeah, all of that. And I call a guy and he's ecstatic, right? Yeah. And then we get off the phone and I just text, he's in. And she's like, he's already texted me. He's so excited, right? Absolutely. And then, one of my nephews and I've had family members calling, hey, what about so-and-so? And I'm like, hey, let's talk. So it is shaping up. And then I've got some other people that I know that are just phenomenal people that are coming as well to help me out. So it's exciting, man. And I didn't even know. Glen Erie, if you're in Colorado and you don't know what that is, look into it. Such a rich history. That is an ordained section of beautiful real estate that God has protected. And I believe he brought us there for a reason. It's going to be cool. So wrap it up, brother. That's all I got as far as the SITREP, but we've got some stuff going on. And I think, did I tell you about that when I went off to Texas and I said, called Melissa and I said, I apologize because I know you've worked some stuff and just you've done your magic and you've already planned out the bulk of the summer. I need a week because I need to do this. And she said, I was praying something like this would happen. And I said, okay. And then I started scheduling it and I started describing it and saying what I feel like we're supposed to do and what God's got on my heart. And we were talking about Parker and him covering my classes. And he goes, hey guys, hold on just 1 second. I need to be there. Like I want to do this. And I think I need this. And I was like, you're in, brother. Okay. I apologize. I should have, threw it out there, but we are, we do encourage the staff, to we call it pro dev, professional development for you. Like, okay, man, you're in. So we'll figure the other part out. So so the other guys will cover. And if next year man, we haven't even announced it yet. When we announce it, if it fills immediately, oh man, Melissa, work with me. We may do another one this year. Yeah. So we're going to have packs, 20 of them. So why not? Right. And the next year we already got the gear. So the glut of the expense is not looming over us. So, and then I love the fact that if there is, and by the way, after July, if you're listening to this, you're part of the program or you know us and you want to get outside with your kids and you don't have gear, I'm going to have 20 packs loaded out.
Don't ever let
and
that
it's
be a
good
limitation.
stuff. Do not let it be a limitation. Get out and do the thing, right? So please, and if you, again, I hate asking for this, but it is a lift. So if you feel led, please pray about it and make a donation. It will be through Able Nation. To facilitate something like this is a big deal. And it is. It's because I just got the bill. I just looked at what it's going to cost for the lodging and the food and all this other stuff. And there is a fee to go because you got to cover those expenses. But then that gear, again, anything times 20. But it'll work out, man. Work out. And then does. Back to Jeff, my pastor, talking about when God speaks to you, take it public. Here we are, brother.
Here we go.
Here we are. What's heard can't be unheard. Seen can't be unseen. All right, man. That's all I got. Final thoughts on all of this.
Well, I've got two.
Send it.
One of them, it's interesting. You started talking about Melissa, and over your left shoulder, there's a little mouse running around all our bags. So if I got a little distracted with your presentation.
I saw you look over there. She hates mice. That's so funny.
So right as you said that, I was like, oh. But no, in all seriousness, it is a busy year. It's a busy summer. Maybe people who are new to the program weren't necessarily ingrained in this, but back in the day, The mix was a monthly social event that
Yeah.
was not to be missed.
Yeah.
Please don't look at this as optional. Do everything you can, clear your calendar, show up for it, for the camaraderie, for the friendships, for the relationships, but it's also a great opportunity for you as the CEO and the staff and instructors to share what's coming up, what's new. It is changing so fast
Yeah.
that if you're not at events like that, you're just not going to be in the know. Slack can only do so much.
Sure.
The mix is a wonderful event, a great opportunity to meet, to socialize, to rekindle, and to learn
Yep.
about what's going on and who's doing what. So take the opportunity. Try and make it if you can.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. And people they're like, "Hey, when's the mixer?" Like it's mixed drinks. I'm like, no. We named it as a mix of topics because we have guest speakers that come and speak for 45 minutes.
Yeah.
We share a meal, guest speaker, then we just hang out and get to know each other because the people are amazing. It's so cool. So the community is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, brother. I just to get excited looking at all this stuff just because of what this started as and what it has become was let's learn how to shoot guns. And it's funny when people say, I need to learn how to shoot the gun or protect my family or do whatever. Then they step into this and like, what is happening right now? Right? Because it's become so much more than that to where somebody said, come for the training and stay for the family. And we just switched it and said, come for the family and stay for the training. And it's awesome because they're legit.
People, wall to wall.
Very, very cool. Well, thank you, brother. Appreciate you, my brother. And special thanks to Able Nation for sponsoring this, able-nation.org. Again, contact Neil. Fill out a very simple application. If you need assistance in any of those areas that we talked about as far as your assessments or anything that's going to make your space safer, then contact Neil if we can help you out with that. And check us out on ableshepherd.com. That's kind of where all the goodness happens. We've got the Facebook. Right now, the YouTube thing is, we've really upped the game on YouTube. So I used to say go to Able Shepherd and branch off of there, but you had mentioned the Wyoming BDR. That's money. And if you just go watch the 1 minute teaser, because once you watch that, you'll watch the 47-minute one, right? So that was like 47 minutes. I'm not watching that. Watch the teaser, and then see the quality that Moto Mike's banking out. And he's just a good storyteller. And we've really upped our game in that area, and I think that's the future. So till we see all of you again, God bless each and every one of you. Take care of one another.